show you how to make a relief print using styrofoam for our base design. Here are the materials I'll be using for this project: styrofoam sheets, glue, wooden craft blocks, a pencil, some paper, a brayer, some printmaking ink, scissors, and a plastic sheet to roll ink out onto. A lot of these materials are interchangeable with items that you can find at your home or at your local craft store. These styrofoam sheets were made by cutting shapes out from dollar store plates. And you could also use craft foam sheets like these with the sticky backs. Liquid glue will work well if you don't have glue sticks, but you'll have to wait a little bit longer for them to dry. Wooden craft blocks like these can be found at the dollar store, your local craft store, or be replaced by thick pieces of cardboard. As for paper, I used regular pieces of printer paper. This brayer, or roller, can also be found at a craft store. For ink, you can use block printing ink like mine, or you can use tempera paint since it's washable. An ink pad is also another option. As for this plastic sheet, a sheet of glass from an old frame or some wax paper can also work out to roll out the ink. I'm using a cheap plastic cutting board that I've designated for crafts only. Alright, let's get started with our printmaking process. In my hands, I have a styrofoam sheet that I want to carve my design into. The process of carving into a printing block and pressing its inked surface onto a piece of paper is called relief printmaking. You can think of it like using a big stamp. I have a couple of designs ready that I'm going to be drawing onto my styrofoam plate. Notice how I try to keep the outline simple because I know I'll have to cut them out later. If you're working alongside this video, go ahead and pause so you can come up with some sketches. Two important things to keep in mind are that the lines you carve in are going to be white once you stamp them down, and that anything you draw will be in reverse after being printed. Keep this last part in mind if you're going to include text. Alright, now that we have our sketches, we can begin to carve them into our styrofoam. I'll be using this dull pencil so I won't accidentally break the styrofoam. You can trace into the styrofoam and press pretty hard, but if you press a little bit too hard, there is a chance it's going to break. Now that I have my design carved out, I can use my scissors and cut out the outline of my design. To put our plastic sheet down so that we don't get any ink on our desk. I'm going to take my ink and I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit onto my plastic sheet. After I put the ink out, I'm going to take my roller and I'm going to roll it across, trying to get an even spread. To take my block, I'm going to cover it with the ink. Make sure that all the parts that you want to show up in the design have ink on them. You can look and see a little bit closer to see which parts might need a little bit more ink. ink your block, you're going to take a piece of paper and you're going to make what I call a proof. Take your paper and you press it right on top of your block, and you want to apply pressure evenly, even using circular motions. Try and get in all of the grooves where you know your design is. You especially want to press on where you know there are small details. So let's lift it up and see our test print. Alright, looking pretty good. You can look and see what kinds of details that you kind of want to have more ink in, or where you might need to apply differently next time. So let's go ahead and try again. The fun part about printmaking is that you get to make a bunch of them. I'm going to put a little bit more ink on here. And I'm going to roll it out. Alright, and this time we can see that it filled in a little bit better with our ink. Now that you have your print, you can think about what kind of other things you can do with it. You can make a pattern, make a comic, or make a series of colorful works. I hope you had fun creating this styrofoam print with me today, and I hope to see you next time.